No compromise here. SpaceX has taken a bold stand, defending itself against the FAA's allegations while publicly unveiling behind-the-scenes details from the past. This signals an inevitable clash between the two, which may lead to further delays in the timeline for the upcoming Flight 5. However, SpaceX can still find a way to avoid the FAA's tightening grip by strategically adjusting their landing plans. So, how could they do it? Let's find out everything in today's episode. The ongoing dispute between SpaceX and the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, has escalated to an even higher level of tension. After Elon Musk's declaration to sue the FAA, SpaceX has officially had a word to Congress, outlining their defense against the accusations and fines imposed by the agency. In their letter, SpaceX asserts that they resubmitted a simplified version of their communications plan for Falcon and Falcon Heavy a few days before the PSN-MSF launch. This new version only altered the location and did not require any additional approvals beyond what was already granted in the original plan. Notably, the FAA took a staggering 110 days to approve the original, fully submitted plan. SpaceX emphasized that there are no regulations requiring a T2-hour poll, and removing it had nothing to do with FAA oversight. SpaceX acknowledges that they used the new propellant farm, which the FAA claims wasn't approved under their launch license. However, SpaceX makes two crucial points. First, the farm was approved by range safety personnel, and second, the FAA had granted a waiver for its use during the Crew 7 mission. With these points in mind, SpaceX raises a fair question. If it was safe for Crew 7, why isn't it safe for this launch? SpaceX is highlighting the inconsistency in the FAA's approach to safety concerns. They approved the fuel farm as safe for a crewed launch, but didn't sign off on it for a cargo launch. Furthermore, SpaceX points out that the FAA did not halt the launch, even though they were aware of the fuel farm's use. To SpaceX, this signals implicit approval of its safety and use from the FAA. This isn't just a standard letter. It's clearly laid out with headings and subheadings, presenting the facts of what happened and how the FAA reacted in a way that's easy to understand. It's pretty much legal talk compared to their usual "Starships are meant to fly" updates. The letter is signed by David Harris, SpaceX's Vice President of Legal Affairs, which underscores the seriousness of the situation. It seems like SpaceX is genuinely gearing up to sue the FAA for abusing their authority and unfairly targeting them. The point is, if SpaceX engages in a prolonged legal battle, it could have significant consequences. Both SpaceX and the FAA would have to allocate substantial resources to the legal proceeding. Now, SpaceX can handle things quickly, but the FAA, not so much. In fact, the FAA could use this as an excuse to stall the approval process for Flight 5 in retaliation. So, is there a way to sidestep the FAA's grip and keep the Starship project on track? Possibly. Instead of sticking rigidly to the original plan, SpaceX could make some adjustments to minimize legal hurdles while still achieving the main goal of the flight. The primary objective of Flight 5 is to catch the booster using the Mechazilla arms on the launch tower. At the moment, the FAA is throwing up roadblocks on two key issues. One, the hot staging ring could fall in a different area than it did in Flight 4. And two, the returning booster would create a sonic boom near the launch site, which could impact the surrounding environment. Instead of performing a return to launch site, SpaceX could consider landing the booster at sea on a platform equipped with chopstick arms, similar to those on the launch tower. With this approach, SpaceX could still achieve the primary goal of Flight 5, catching the booster with Mechazilla's arms. Meanwhile, a landing on the ocean profile would be much closer to the one used in Flight 4, significantly reducing the legal paperwork and hurdles from the FAA. Moreover, this landing method would minimize the impact of the sonic boom on populated, which is one of the FAA's major environmental concerns. To pull off this idea, SpaceX would need a solid, sturdy structure out at sea, something large enough to handle the massive size of the booster and strong enough to support a catching tower. Think of it like an oil rig, for example. Now, while this is definitely a technical challenge, it's well within SpaceX's capabilities. Why? SpaceX has already proven its ability to build complex structures at lightning speed. The company successfully constructed 2 launch towers at Starbase, with the second one completed in record time. This experience lays a solid foundation for building something similar offshore. SpaceX uses a modular construction method where components are assembled separately and then combined. For example, the second launch tower of SpaceX at Starbase has 9 modules, stacked on top of each other. With sea transport, in fact, with current ships, we can carry multiple modules on a single trip. This approach not only speeds up the build process, but also allows for flexibility in transporting and installing parts at sea. Moreover, an offshore catching tower would have a huge advantage over its land-based counterpart. It only needs to focus on catching the booster. This means many of the complex systems can be streamlined or even eliminated, including fuel pumps, ground support systems, and the extensive infrastructure needed for rocket launches. Instead, this structure would be centered around a pair of chopsticks, equipped with advanced sensors and damping systems, similar to what SpaceX already uses at Starbase. Therefore, in theory, SpaceX only needs to take a copy of the current chopsticks out to sea. They don't need to create anything new. Building an offshore booster catching platform is an ambitious yet entirely feasible solution for SpaceX. With their experience, advanced technology, and innovative construction methods, the company has all the tools needed to bring this idea to life. When we discuss the possibility of SpaceX constructing an offshore booster catching structure, it's crucial to remember this isn't a new or temporary idea. In fact, SpaceX has long considered the potential of building sea-based platforms to support Starship operations. I mean, we're talking about fully equipped structures with all the systems and infrastructure needed to handle both Starship launches and landings. 4 years ago, Elon Musk unveiled a long-term vision on X. He shared that SpaceX was aiming to build massive floating spaceports for missions to Mars, the Moon, and even for hypersonic travel around Earth. Just a month after Musk's announcement, SpaceX started turning that vision into reality. The company purchased 2 offshore oil rigs, naming them Phobos and Deimos, after Mars's moons, a clear message about their future purpose. This move showed that SpaceX wasn't just making bold, they were acting on them. Although SpaceX eventually sold the 2 rigs, this doesn't mean they abandoned their plan. On the contrary, the decision reflects the company's pragmatic and flexible approach. They realized these rigs weren't perfectly suited for launch platforms as initially intended. Instead, SpaceX decided to focus on launching Starship and gaining a deeper understanding of the vehicle before proceeding with offshore platforms. This decision exemplifies SpaceX's fail fast, learn fast philosophy. Rather than pushing forward with a half-baked solution, they opted to learn from the experience and adjust their plans accordingly. Now, as SpaceX faces challenges from the FAA and considers building an offshore booster catching structure, we can clearly see how this idea aligns with the company's long-term vision. SpaceX could very well revive the concept from 4 years ago. Specifically, an offshore booster catching structure could serve as an intermediate step toward the ultimate goal of constructing fully functional floating spaceports, while also addressing legal hurdles with the FAA and accelerating the development of the technology needed to achieve their larger vision. Starship is in its early days of development. Once it has proven all its capabilities, expanding the scope and area of Starship's operations is inevitable. Not limited to the United States in the future, we will see Starship launched from many launch towers globally and also from sea-based platforms, whether in international waters or the territorial waters of other countries. SpaceX is simultaneously planning to expand the operational scope of Starship. They are targeting U.S. allied countries for the initial phase, because these countries have fewer barriers to technology export. Moreover, SpaceX will choose locations where the geographical position is advantageous and the laws are more favorable to new technology. You know, places where discharging thousands of gallons of water and the momentary startle of marine creatures won't become critical issues that are not allowed to happen. For now, Australia is the first country SpaceX is targeting. This is confirmed information, and I have made a video analyzing why SpaceX chose Australia. Check it out if you're interested. All right, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth looks at the latest advancements in space technology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.